This demonstration is to discuss syndication and why it's important. Just a little recap before we get into syndication. Oxcyon is collecting a lot of information. Sometimes it's even importing data, mass importing data through its data transfer tools. And of course, we're tracking tons of different types of content and incoming information. For example, we might be tracking orders placed from users in an e-commerce scenario or forms filled out, whatever the case might be. So sometimes we need to syndicate this information outside of Centralpoint to feed other systems. These might be mobile applications that you're developing. These might be other systems that need to be ingested with live data feeds. So to discuss syndication, I want to draw your attention to the admin section of the console, where we're going to click on syndication. So the first kind of leg of this discussion will be outbound syndication, meaning we're collecting content within Centralpoint, and we need to feed it out to whoever needs to consume it in the way that they need to consume it. Here you'll see we have RSS, XML, JSON, Atom, all custom variations of that data. So basically, your consumers of data, maybe your suppliers or maybe your back office systems, they need your data in a very unique and specific way. So when we look at this particular data feed, as we just saw showing XML, this is showing the XML feed of articles. Now again, it could be forms you're collecting, orders you're collecting, so that as each order comes into your site system, you might need to update and feed the fulfillment company or the shipping company of that information. So we're able to place rules around what content we wish to syndicate. In this case, we're syndicating articles. We want no more than 10 records of a certain type, so you can be very finite about what, variance there is in the syndication. Who gets to see these types of records? Maybe this is just people with a role of client or whatever the case might be. And again, this feed will be given to whoever needs it, your developer or whoever it might be. The formatting of that feed could be JSON, it could be Atom, it could be RSS, it could be XML. Now, when it comes to kind of EDI and transforming this data the way we're collecting it in Centralpoint, we can then apply what's known as an Xslt. An Xslt is a transformation document. That's what T stands for, transformation, that will take our standard XML and parse it out and create the XML that your IBM system wants or your payroll system wants, whatever it might be. Once we add that filter, then the feed will be put out in that specific way. So think of it as all of the different reporting that you need to deliver to all these different people. Since they're all running different systems and different whatnot, you can now create all of these and they become live data feeds. And they're very easy to manage in this way because, later if we need to change that or we need to delete that, or maybe that feed's only good for a certain period of time, you might have numerous consumers of your data where they're pulling it from you, or you're ingesting their systems from syndication. So syndication is very important, again, feeding third-party apps. Now, another way of looking at syndication is how do we take a syndicated feed, like a RSS feed, and how do we take that thing and convert it into something that we can use on your website? Because sometimes as we're pulling in these feeds, whatever it might be, let's see what we have here. Here's world news from some resource. So basically what we're doing here is we're saying, okay, define the RSS feed here, and then let's format it so it looks like our website. So you want to take their data feed, restyle it in a way that, looks good for your site, and then save it. And that way you'll have a live feed of that information. For example, here we're asking for 35 records. I'm going to say let's just have 10 of those records. So here we're able to pull from, I think it's Yahoo, someone who's providing you, so in return trip, that syndicated feed, where we're presenting this on your site. So if I wanted to take that script, this represents the object of what this thing is, I might want to say, okay, that data feed of the latest news, I want to have that on my website. I'm going to put it on this page, and I'm going to call this RSS feed from Yahoo, and I'm just going to put it on under one of my sections so we can see what it looks like here. I'm going to put it under About Us. I'm going to release it. So just as simple, we're now consuming RSS feeds of others. So again, to recap, we might be the syndicator sending out these syndicated feeds to outside parties, or we might be the syndicate-e, if that's the right word, where we're consuming the RSS feeds of Yahoo, for an example. So here we have the RSS feeds from Yahoo serving in your page in the way that we'd like it to look. Now, the problem with RSS feeds is when you're ingesting RSS feeds from others and you click on this link, well, it's going to open up a new site. It's going to take us to the Yahoo site. So another thing we want to discuss is how can we aggregate data into the system. So instead of just that little feed you saw from Yahoo, how can we instead reach out to a JSON, RSS, or data feed and say, look, I want to go to this feed here. I'm going to go to U.S. News and World Report. This is to familiarize you with, forgive me, I'm going to go to U.S. News and World Report, and I want to pump all of those records from U.S. News into my news module. And how do I map the various features from that RSS feed? These are what U.S. News makes available here: the title, the description, the date of the news article, etc. And how do I map those fields in to my news module? So this is a little bit different. This is where we're using our data transfer tools to ingest the RSS data into Centralpoint. And the difference here is that these records actually came into this module called News. Here they are right here. Here's the articles that just came in at 2:14 p.m., including Dorothy Day, Thomas Merton, and Lincoln mentioned in the Pope's address. So basically what that means is, and here's the difference. Here, Yahoo, you'll see, resuming their fall. That is not a record that truly lives in Centralpoint. If I searched, for example, Trillion, which we might actually have another record in here called Trillion. Here's Trillion. We actually have two records here called Trillion, but that's not the record that we were looking at. This is Japan, Abe, whatever. This one is Tackle Genders. You'll notice we didn't find this record in Centralpoint. Now, if we search Lincoln, which was referenced in the other one that we did ingest, here's our Dorothy Day, Thomas Merton, MLK, and Lincoln pulled in from another source into Centralpoint. Now, this is pretty amazing because it means that we can now automatically fill up Centralpoint with content from outside sources, assuming you have the rights or the privileges to do so. And that means that your content keeps building, keeps getting bigger, and now we can, of course, relate that with other things. So it becomes an ecosystem. For a lot of our publishers who seek to be kind of the source of truth on whatever topic they study, be it restaurant industry or whatever the industry is, they're very eager to populate and fill so that if you happen to search Google, you want to find this page under that publisher's URL. So Bill Gates said content is king, and he's right. The more content you have, the more attention you have over that audience. So that's just something, a little food for thought in terms of syndication. But I think the more common use for syndication for most of our clients will be that ability to feed outside resources that need to be fed that live data. And that way you can manage your website over here, your people, your orders, your products, your whatever. And as you need to glean information from Centralpoint for the benefit of those other applications, we can now serve those vendors with the specific data feed that they need, be it EDI, XML, RSS, JSON, you name it. So for more information, contact your analyst or production manager.